Hi, today we are going to do a sketchbook tour. This is one of the first sketchbooks I've ever had. This is from 2013. I was 12 years old. As you can see on the cover, there are several Final Fantasy fan arts here. The inner cover has some songs written on it and a list of Final Fantasy games, I think, and also some original games. Also, okay, the first drawing here is of Lightning and Sarah from Final Fantasy 13. Okay, this is an original character from my series that I was trying to make with my brother and my cousins. We were trying to write the scripts for video games. This is another Final Fantasy fan art. This is for Final Fantasy X Part 2, I think. Again, some original characters. This is the mother, and I think she got lost or something. They got separated at some point. This is her biological daughter, and this is one adopted daughter. This is the logo for our fictional video game company, designed by my older cousin, and this is a logo that I designed myself. It was supposed to be called Uber Games because I thought it sounded cool. This is a fan art of a cover. I think it was Assassin's Creed 3. It was recently, very recently released at the time, and I even went to Spain in 2013, and when we were in Barcelona, I saw a figurine of this character, a life-sized figurine of this character, and felt inspired to draw it. Of course, not then and there. This is fan art of other Ubisoft characters. I think this is from the Rayman Origins one, if I remember, or Rayman Legends, I don't remember. Okay, this is fan art, I think, for Final Fantasy 2, if I remember correctly. This is fan art for various Final Fantasy games. For example, Final Fantasy 1 I see here, Final Fantasy 7, 13, and several others, but I'm not sure, I don't remember it. This is a Final Fantasy 13 fan art, and at the time that was my biggest fandom I was involved in, depicting Snow and Sarah's wedding. This is an Adventure Time fan art, and I was also very into this cartoon at the time. I really liked the first half, but the later seasons I didn't like so much, so I stopped doing fan art as well. This is from an original story that I wrote, and I even mentioned in my master post, and it was basically this dude was tasked with searching for a lost princess, and he ends up meeting this girl, but she's not a princess, so he's mad that he got scammed, but they have a little bit of an enemies to lovers type of dynamic, and it all ends well. Another Final Fantasy 13 fan art. This was supposed to make a parallel between these two sisters and these other two girls, which I interpreted as being a type of sister. This is Final Fantasy X fan art, I think. Okay, this is original art. The characters in this picture were supposed to be like dragon hunters, and I think this guy died at the end. It was a bit of a sad story, actually. Okay, this is a Final Fantasy VII fan art, and I actually like how this looks. It's very colorful and nice. This is a human version of Rainbow Dash. I also liked My Little Pony Friendship is Magic at the time. Again, this is another character. This was a human girl who was turned into a vampire, so basically like her vampire boyfriend beat her and stuff. But this was also a very sad story, like he dies and she has to defeat the evil vampire grandpa by herself. Okay, this was another original story, actually. I think you might recognize this character. It was on the second page as well. She was supposed to be like a serial thief or whatever, but she has a bit of a redemption arc. She ends up adopting this girl who is blind and so on. Another character from my imaginary video game franchise. This is some these are the pages of some very dramatic fan fiction I did back in the day. If I remember correctly, the plot was, I think, how in Final Fantasy 13 Part 2, I think Lightning got stabbed by the villain, and this was about that, as you can see. This was about that, and she was dying or whatever. Very dramatic. But basically everything I wrote back in the day was dramatic, but usually with a happy ending. For example, as you can see, she survives the whole ordeal. Human version of Fluttershy. Human version of Twilight. Again, an original character from that Dragon Hunter story. Original characters again, that guy who was searching for a lost princess. They fall in love eventually, of course. This is like a very, I don't know, a fairy or whatever, making a little heart symbol, which I still think is cute. This is Final Fantasy 13 Part 2 fan art. This is Fang and Noel. This is fan art for that episode in Adventure Time in which they find that creepy horse who stares at them, but I didn't find it creepy at the time. I just found it very cute, so I just sat down and drew this. Again, Final Fantasy 13 Part 2 or Part 3, I don't remember. Again, my original characters. This is their first meeting. The guy says something like, "Oh, you're the lost princess," and she says like, "Oh no, I'm not a princess at all." And he's very, very disappointed by that. This is a fake video game cartridge. I always fantasized that me and my cousins would make a video game company and basically have our own giant franchise, such as Final Fantasy, except our franchise was called the Immortals, and it was supposed to have up to like 20 parts. This is a self-portrait, but I'm censoring the names because I wrote like the actual names here. This is me, this is my little brother, and this is my cousin. Again, the character from the dragon story. the Final Fantasy 13 girls going shopping or whatever. Another Final Fantasy fan art, except this dude is from Final Fantasy 1. This is supposed to be Lightning from Final Fantasy 13 holding this rose, like, okay, it's supposed to be a rose. Again, Lightning from Final Fantasy 13, but I think this is from part 2, if I remember correctly. And again, a list of songs, I think, and this was like a fake tattoo that you could put, it's like basically a sticker that you could put on your arm, so I glued it to the page and kept it as a memory. And the back cover has Yuna from Final Fantasy X in her Final Fantasy X Part 2 outfit, and Trifa, was it? Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, and I even tried to replicate the logo. Okay, so this was my very first, okay, not very first, this was my first sketchbook from 2013.